Hello, 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 and thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Soraya Marshall Wright. Welcome to The World According to Soraya. For those of you who do not know, I am an elder law and estate planning attorney in South Carolina and the owner of the Autonomy Group Legacy Planning PC. I help individuals plan for the unexpected and protect their valuables through strategic planning so they can leave the legacy they choose and avoid living in poverty when they're no longer able to work. Now, there's a lot going on in the month of October, but in my world, October is Special Needs Law Month. Throughout this month, I'll be sharing various tips, tools, and other random information with you about special needs law. Now, roughly 12% of the US population is disabled, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly 19% of those disabled worked in the year 2017. So, today's tips will be for the working disabled. Now, some may be wondering, why are we talking about work? The idea is that these people are disabled and they can't work, right? Well, not necessarily. According to the Social Security Act, the definition of disability is not the inability to perform any work, but rather the inability to perform substantial work. Now, in a prior video, I explained that substantial work is not necessarily defined by heavy lifting. It doesn't matter if you're doing a desk job or a strenuous one. It doesn't necessarily matter if you're working 30 hours or 20. What ultimately boils down to is the amount that you're earning. In 2018, work is substantial if it's at or above $1,180. That is gross. I will include in the comments a link to the Social Security Administration's publication titled Working While Disabled, How We Can Help. It includes lots of useful information and specific facts and figures that will help the working disabled. But I do have 3 tips to share with you today, and I hope that they will actually be helpful. Tip number 1, if you are receiving Social Security disability and working, make sure you report your work activity. And take it a step further, send in your paycheck stubs at the end of every month. Why? Some people make the mistake of thinking, well, it's the government. They should already have access to this information, right? But it is your responsibility as the entitled person to provide this information to the agency. And in some cases, it may be years before they're having to do a review, and when they do, they will ask you for this information. So do yourself a favor, report it as it happens, submit those paycheck stubs as you're earning them so that you're not scrambling at the end. Tip number 2, keep a diary of your work activity. Why? Because in some cases you may be working, but you're not even performing at the same level as the people who have the same job as you. When a review comes up, this information may actually be useful. So keep a diary of your work activity. This information should include the amount of hours that you're working, the people that you're working with, and any type of help that you may receive on the job to actually bring you to a performance level that's satisfactory. Tip number 3, make sure you keep track of all of your work-related expenses. Keep receipts, keep the numbers somewhere, because this information could also be useful to you when you have to do a work review. If you have work-related expenses, this could reduce the amount that's countable. What do I mean by that? If you're someone who's working and you're close to the substantial level and you have a whole bunch of work-related expenses, you may still be okay, but you have to be able to prove that. All right? So tip number 1, report your work activity as soon as it happens, and take it a step further by submitting your paycheck stubs at the end of every month. This will cover your butt. Tip number 2, keep a diary of your work activity so that you are in a better position to explain it if you have a work review, or rather when you have a work review. Tip number 3, keep track of your work-related expenses. This would be any medications or special equipment that you have to purchase that allow you to work. I'm not talking about gas that you have to put in your car to get to work, but medical or other work-related expenses that allow you to work. All right? So, if you didn't know that it is your responsibility as the entitled individual to report your work activity, now you know. And if you didn't know that your work performance and work related expenses could actually reduce the amount that's countable, now you know. Check out the comments for the publication Working While Disabled, How We Can Help by the Social Security Administration, and I'll see you next time.